name fraction. Okay, most of the students still they don't know the definition of the definition of the fraction. If I ask you what is fraction, no answer. Okay, today we will go for the basic concept of fraction. Okay, now what is fraction? An integer divided by another integer. The first integer is called numerator and the second integer is called denominator. The denominator must not be equal to 0. The division symbol is a fraction bar or a slash bar. See, in simple, if you go for the fraction is nothing but fraction is a part of a whole. Fraction is a part of a whole. Example. Now, if you take a box, what it is? Complete one box. One box has been divided into 4 parts. One box is divided into 4 parts. It is a fraction. One box is divided into 4 parts. It's a fraction. Now, if you take a chapati and go to school, and one of your friend did not brought the tiffin box, what you will do? You will share your chapati into 2 parts. One of the part you will give to your friend and one part you will take. Is it not? So, one chapati divided into 2 parts is a fraction. Example. Total one chapati. Half of the chapati taken by you and half of the chapati you have given to your friend. It is a fraction. That means one chapati divided into 2 parts. One chapati divided into how many parts? 2 parts is a fraction. Suppose if you are dividing into 4 parts, one chapati divided into how many parts? 4 parts. It's a fraction. Fraction is nothing but fraction is a part of a whole. Fraction is a part of a whole. Now, second definition for this one, an integer. What it is? An integer divided by another integer. An integer which is divided by another integer. An integer divided by another integer. The first integer is called numerator. The first integer is called as numerator and the second integer is called as denominator. The denominator must not be equal to 0. The denominator should not be equal to 0. The division symbol is a fraction bar. The division symbol is a fraction bar or a slash. It should be a fraction bar or a slash. Now tell me what is fraction? Fraction is a part of a whole. Fraction is a part of a whole. Now, suppose if I am taking 5 by 6, 5 by 6, that means 5 circles. If you take from 6 circles, that means from 6 parts, if you color the 5 parts, 1 part, 2 part, 3 part, 4 part and 5 part. 5 out of how many? 6. 5 part has been shaded out of how many parts? 6 parts. Is a fraction. Now we will learn about the numerator and the denominator. What is numerator? The upper number is called as numerator. Remember, the upper number is called as numerator and the lower number, the number which is taken down, is called as denominator. And the line which is dividing this numerator and denominator is called as fraction bar. What is fraction bar? What is fraction bar? The line which is dividing the two integers. The line which is dividing the two integers is called a fraction bar. Or in some of the cases, you will write 5/6. It is called as slash. What it is called as slash. Now, if you are taking for the fraction has been divided into many types. Fraction has been divided into many types. Now, these are the types of the fraction. First, it is common fraction, complex fraction, equivalent fraction, improper fraction, proper fraction, mixed fraction, decimal fraction. Now, we will go one by one. Okay. What is common fraction? Common fraction. What is common fraction? Another name for the fraction is a common fraction. Another name of the fraction. Another name of fraction. Another name of a fraction. Okay. Now, what is common fraction? Another name of the fraction is a common fraction. Now, complex fraction. What is complex fraction? Complex fraction. Now, maybe this is new for you. Complex fraction. What is complex fraction? A fraction which is further forming fraction either in numerator or denominator. A fraction which is further forming fraction either in the numerator or denominator or in both is called as complex fraction. Example, 5 by 6 by 3. Here the fraction is forming again in the numerator. Okay, this is called as complex fraction. Or 5 by 3 by 7. Here the fraction is forming in the denominator. Here the fraction is forming in the numerator. Here the fraction is forming in the denominator. Or 3 by 2 by 7 by 6. Here numerator as well as the denominator. These two are forming further fraction in the numerator as well as in the denominator. What is complex fraction? The fraction which is forming further fraction either in the numerator or in denominator or in both is called as complex fraction. Now, after complex fraction, what is the next fraction? Equivalent fraction. This is most important. Most of the questions will be in your textbook about the equivalent fraction. What is equivalent fraction? Same values of the fraction is called as equivalent fraction. Same values of the fraction is called as equivalent fraction. Okay. What is the equivalent fraction? See, 5 by you take 6, 5 by 6. If I am taking 5 by 6, next will be example 10 by 12. 10 by 12. Next it will be 15 by 18. These are equivalent fraction. How it is becoming equivalent fraction? See, if you go for the lowest form of the remaining fractions, if you go for the lowest form, 2 5s are 10, 2 6 are 12, 3 5s are 15, 3 6 are 18. All are getting 5 by 6, 5 by 6 and 5 by 6. This is equivalent fraction. Understood? It will get, if you go for the lowest form, it will get the same value. It is called as equivalent fraction. Now we will go for the improper fraction and proper fraction. Most important, improper fraction and proper fraction. At last of the video, I will give the definitions. So please concentrate on the basic ones. Okay. Now, by using the example of water bottle, I will explain you what is proper fraction and what is improper fraction. See, if you take the water bottle. If I put the water bottle like this, is it a proper way or improper way? Of course, it is a proper way. Why? If you put the water bottle like this, it is improper because it is in improper condition. Okay? You cannot put the water bottle like this. You will put the water bottle like this. Now, I said you what is numerator and what is denominator. Upper number is called as numerator, lower number is called as denominator. Here, the water cap of the water bottle is suppose as numerator and this is you suppose this as denominator. See, if I put it like this, it is a proper. That means it is a proper fraction. What is proper fraction? A fraction in which numerator is small and denominator is big. A fraction in which numerator is small and denominator is big. A fraction in which numerator is small and denominator is big. It's called as proper fraction. The water bottle is in a proper way. Remember, water bottle is in a proper way. So, numerator should be smaller denominator should be big. And what is improper? If I put the water bottle like this, it is improper. Why it is improper? You cannot put the water bottle like this. If you open the cap, water will fall down. Is it not? So it is not a proper way. It is improper way. So what is improper fraction? A fraction in which numerator is big, denominator is small. Numerator is big, denominator is small. What is improper fraction? A fraction in which numerator is bigger than denominator, or fraction in which numerator is big and the denominator is small, is called as improper fraction. Next, what is mixed fraction? Whole with the proper fraction. Whole with the proper fraction. Remember, it should be proper fraction. It should be proper fraction. Then only it is called as mixed fraction. What is mixed fraction? Whole with the proper fraction. Here 5 is whole and 6 by 8 is a proper fraction. 6 by 8 is a proper fraction. What it is? Mixed fraction. What is the definition for the mixed fraction? Whole with the proper fraction is called as mixed fraction. Now, next to decimal fraction. What is decimal fraction? Fractions in which the denominator should be 10 or power tens. The fraction in which the denominator should be tens or power tens. Example, 5 by 10, 6 by 1 lakh, whatever it is. 1 with the zeros. The denominator should be 1 with the zero. That means tens or power tens. Tens or power tens is called as decimal fraction. Common fraction. Another name for the fraction. Another name for the fraction. That is example 3 by 6. Complex fraction. Fraction which is forming further fraction either in the numerator or in denominator or in both. Or next definition, either numerator or denominator or both are fractions. Example. Okay. Now see here, numerator is forming fraction. Denominator is forming fraction. Numerator and denominators are forming fraction. Next, what is equivalent fraction? Fractions with the same values. Fractions with the same values. If you go for the lowest form of this one, you will get 5 by 6. You will get 5 by 6. It is equivalent fraction. Now, what is proper fraction? Numerator is small and the denominator is big. Numerator is small and denominator is big. Now, improper fraction. Numerator is big, denominator is small. Mixed fraction, whole with the proper fraction. Whole with the proper fraction is called as mixed fraction. Now decimal fraction. Denominator should be tens or power tens. Denominator should be tens or power tens. That is 1 by 10, 2 by 100, 5 by 1000, 6 by lakhs, like that. Okay. Now here in this one, I forgot to say you that the denominator should not be 0. The denominator should not be 0. Example, if I am taking 6 by 0, denominator is 0. This number is not defined, undefined number. This number has not been defined till now. So it is, in this condition, it is, in this condition you should take the, you should understand that the denominator should not be 0. If the denominator is getting 0, that number is undefined number. That number is undefined number. Remember, okay? So this is the first part of your fraction. Okay. If you want to take the definitions, you can take the definitions.